师兄姐，阿弥陀佛！我们准备开始今天的演讲。Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again for today's Dharma talk. Before we get started, I would like you to remind you that if you prefer to listen to an English translation of the speech, please click on the global icon at the bottom of your screen and select English. If you don't want to hear Mandarin at all, you can also mute the original voice. Thank you. 演讲开始前，我们先行礼如仪，大众请
For
合。
the speech, join palm, bow, bow to Master Shen Yan, bow to Fa Shi, Amitabha. Okay, Fa Shi, everyone, Amitabha. Fa Shi, excuse me, can I announce something else? Here, welcome everyone, which Guoxin Fa Shi speech, the Chan philosophy of Master Shen Yan, the third lecture. In order for everyone to focus, we will close the function of the chat room. During Q&A, we'll reopen. If you have questions, please wait till the Q&A time. And Fa Shi will answer the leftover questions from last week. Now, it's speech time. Amitabha. Today is actually the fourth time. Last time we talked about in Chan school, the unifications. And next, we're going to talk about Chinese Chan Buddhism. When Shifu was talking to Dalai Lama, this is like the structure of Chan school. It's very concise. And he expressed the essence and the relationship with A schools. And here we say Chan is simplified, complex, practical, and flexible. And you can see from different schools, such as Tiantai or Huayan, they talk a lot. But in my personal experience, Chan, at the end, there's only two things, or maybe just one, which is mind. There's nothing else. And for me, Xing is just a noun, right? And how, but this is just a word. How do I, correspond to my everyday experience? And I like to use what many previous masters say about Buddha nature. So this this mind is, boundless, infinite. It can speak, it can see, it can through thinking, it could memorize, So all day from morning to night, life to death, this mind is always here. But in our experience, this mind has emotions and thinking when you call it mind. And it is all different kinds of phenomena. And we categorize um, it into body and function, these two aspects. So your mind is formless or markless. In Chan, we call it it's tranquil and silent, but illuminating. Illuminating is like you can think, you can be angry. It's the emulating part. In this mind, if you can utilize it completely, that's that's compassion and wisdom. So when we break our attachment uh, in Chan, you know, um, finalize this concept into this body and function. In the platform sutra, it's the function of sentient being, and for enlightened being, it's the function of Buddha. And within it, there's two aspects, which is compassion and wisdom. And Shifu here would say, um, put to great use um, in the great emptiness, having great use. And in our experience, we face different things. We cry, we laugh, we see people we don't like. It's then difficult to smile at them. So this problem lies in you feel that this image is a person. That's what we call attachment. You are attached to this form of image or form of sound. Um, and within there's a self, so you are limited. But actually, everything in front of you, doesn't matter if it's image or sound, it's all you. And we can, there are some theories behind, but it takes some time to talk about it. So I talk about something simple. So when you say, let's say when you see a person in front of you and you feel, okay, that's someone else outside of you, or you go to use the bathroom and then you recall, that person we just saw actually stay in your memory as if, you are recording in your memory and then you replay it. People say, this is easy to understand as an example. Because if it's really, another person or something else, it shouldn't disappear. Like when you're not thinking, it disappears. So this function of recording and replay, is your attachment. Or in consciousness only, we say the eighth conscious has the ability to store, or the object to be stored, or the subject to be stored. And when we say recording, that's the ability to store. And store in, the eighth consciousness or in your mind. And because we have duality, subject and object, so we call it consciousness. And these, everything you recorded and you replay, you think there is another person, there's someone else. So that's attachment. You attach to a self within the five skandhas. So ability to record and play and to assess this recording, the essence actually has no image, and that's the real you. So we use this markless or imageless mind to capture images or marks. That's your attachment. And in Chan, we try to capture this infinite, unlimited mind. And for for most of us, it's very, very difficult because it's against our experience. Should we answer the questions first, or we'll continue the lecture? The reason why we hold precepts is because we have subject object duality. But in the ultimate point of view, this mind does not have duality. There is no object, subject. There's an object that I really like. No. And if this object, fits in your preference, or you don't like and you want it to die, to vanish, this part we say it's duality with subject and object. However, ultimately, what do you like, what do you don't like, it's just you. It's your previous or later thoughts. And if you understand this, why, then you know why we need to follow the precepts. And it is to get rid of the self who can kill, or the self who can be killed. Ultimately, one needs to be eliminated it's the upside down view. So for typical people, it's easy to follow the precepts with image or mark first. But ultimately, you want to go back to like what the Platform Sutra says, the precept of the self nature. So at the end of the day, we use the precept to lessen the obstacles in our practice, to turn the unwholesome phenomenon into wholesome phenomena. For typical people, is to turn the unwholesome phenomena into wholesome phenomena. So it doesn't matter which school of precept or the school of pure land, there's a self reciting the Buddha's name. But in Chan, it's like Amitabha appear in your mind, in your, the 10 Dharma realm appear in your mind. And through reciting Buddha's name, the Dharma realm appear in our mind. So, when people don't understand this, they think, oh, the Buddha come and take me. If you use this right method, it's all mind. And so in this perspective, when we talk about Pure Land, your mind is always in Pure Land, eternity illuminating. So basically, in this concept, you can understand or encompass all 8 different schools. So if you can, solicit or, understand this all is in these 2 aspects, body, mind, or just mind, you can understand Dharma as a whole. And, when we talk about this, mind is always there. When you live, after you die, it's always there. That's why as an enlightened person in Chan, he will see all the sentient beings in its enlightenment state. So we talk about samadhi, right? What is samadhi? It's wisdom, is cessation, samadhi. And we say, the wisdom or the samadhi and wisdom of the self nature. And if you can use this on other people, to help other people, that is compassion. So here we have a lot of different nouns, how you break your own How do you break other people's attachment? You know, for sentient beings, endless. And yourself need to develop your own wisdom. It's in the ultimate perspective, they are all connected. So when sentient beings can be delivered, all sentient beings can be delivered. But here, I don't know if we talk about Palaka, you know, one Dharma contains all Dharma. And how Shifu say, he said, one person, one reward. And you try to deliver the image in front of you. In my mind, you know, through speaking, actions to deliver, kind of like you deliver, you know, people you know in your dream. If you, through this method, you understand there's no dharma outside your mind. And this, you know, as your current present moment experience, there's no the people you know in the dream. And for normal people, it's hard to understand. In we use a science video to talk about what is called the material world. It's like you see the things in front of you or hear sounds actually just signals in your brain. And before I just use that example, but now we have the video. The scientists say it's a blind spot. You know, the creator or inside you can sense. You know, in Islam, it's called Allah. Allah created this um, this being able to sense, and you know this image processing through your eye, the nerves in your brain, and there's symbols, right? But ultimately, there needs to be a being which is able to sense the symbols, right? So there's ultimately gonna be an observer, but where does the observer from? Then in Chan, this observer, it's self, it's God, it's Allah, it's Buddha. But for them, they feel like it's Allah created this. But you ask them who created Allah, it's hard to be clear, right? But in Buddhism, it's very clear. They can teach you how to experience it. Their structure is very clear. And in Buddhism, we say belief. It's because if you follow my words to practice, then you can experience or see the result. And what you need to believe is just believe the method that can bring you there. It's not, believe in what I say. Because like Christianity, the belief is something you cannot experience, or Allah, who created Allah, right? Um, we don't know.
是什么？其实到最后就是什么？就涅槃。
There's a simple way of summary. There's a very simple. Let me go get it. It's about the second thought and the first thought. And it's mentioned in the sixth patriarch. And And when you see something outside, you already have a first thought. And when you further think about it, when you go back and recall that thought, that is the recall is already the second thought. And your first thought and the second thought is actually two imagery in your brain. And actually they don't touch each other. You don't even need to stop them. The thought and thought, they don't touch each other, but it is your nature misused in a way that you link all this thought together and create a series of imagery. And this heart created all the phenomenon by linking up all the images and all the memory and all the experience and create almost like a movie. And it is always it appears there is no duality. It's almost like seeing a live show. This, my word, my sound, everything I heard. In Suragama say, oh, can you separate your verse, your voice, and my heart and my mind? Can we separate your heart? Can you do that? Like my eye can see a terminal, can see a table, and this table all immediately becoming an image in your mind. It has no feeling. It's only your heart actually realize it is an imagery. I mean, it's always like a snapshot. Many frame of a movie. You look at your table, frame 1. You look at your monitor, frame 2. You look at your watch, frame 3. You move your mouse, frame number 4. All these are imagery in your mind. So everything in front of you, every object everything you see in front of you. And what happened? Actually, everything is you. But everything is also not you. Suragama say, everything you saw is you, but everything is not you. If it is, so contemplate on it. You see a fan, you see a computer. The computer is actually you. So it is the self that see that you. But it is not you, yourself. The SELF is not the real true nature of your Buddha nature. That's why Tsuragama Sutra say, everything is you and everything is not you. In another sutra, it say, because your Buddha nature doesn't have the duality. Your Buddha nature, I mean, it is the same mind. It is almost like a same coin of two sides. One side, it will have duality. The other side of the coin doesn't have duality. So when your Buddha nature is sleeping, you're using the sleepy side. The sleepy side see the whole world with duality. Everything has me, you, object, subject. I did it to you. I hear you say that. But in the Buddha nature, if you flip the coin the other side, it doesn't have duality. You see everything as is. It doesn't interpret, but however, it knows everything. It sees everything. It felt everything. It doesn't have any opinion. It doesn't see something as outside or inside. It just aware. It just know, and it doesn't engage. It know the situation. It know the sun is up, but it doesn't engage. It doesn't attach. It doesn't touch it. It doesn't. And in the Avantamaska Sutra say, attaining superhood in a single thought. It talks about intrinsic Buddha nature in all being. So the so-called quietness, pure clarity mind, it is a stage of a Buddha nature. And again, to be that in that stage, again, they talk about there is no duality. So there was one example about a tiger. When you saw a tiger, an object, you run. So in your dream, you saw a tiger, you run. So that is a dream of duality. And the master say, when you see the tiger, you don't run. You do your chant slow walking. Your thought go from a tiger chasing you. Your thought now go to a second thought, which is you are doing slowly walking in a chant meditation. So as you drop the thought of the tiger, you pick up the thought of chant walking. So all this is all in your thought. So whatever you think is you. You think about Paul, then you become Paul. You think about Peter, you become Peter. So this is just an example of how a sleepy Buddha nature mislead sentient being through the concept of duality. Actually, all the Peter and Paul and Mary, it is your Buddha nature. It is just being misinterpreted. It's linked together as there is a subject, as there is a phenomenon outside. True Buddha nature doesn't have phenomenon. Phenomena are just imagery, is false, is a form of delusion. It's like the picture of your mother. It doesn't talk to you. Your life mother is sitting right next to you that talks to you. So there is all the imagery, some from touching, some from feeling through your skin, some from tasting, some from seeing. So all this imagery they're coming through is coming through your skandhas. So in every moment, all your skandha is empty. Skandha are just instruments that receiving messages, but it is empty. It doesn't have any feeling. It's just data. So when you see things, you see through your skandha, your eye, your ear, you see things as is, but you don't let it misguide you to have judgment and comparison using your past memory, your past habit, your past experience. Another sutra say, there is a sutra that say the great master, the Buddha, used the tool or the world of a sentient by experiencing it, by practicing through seeing the delusion, it begin to see what is not the delusion. The key word here is the not. What is not image? What is not delusion? So by seeing the delusions, you see the ignorance. Then you see the flip side of it, of the not. That school will lead you back to your self nature. So therefore, from your imagery, you can see that all phenomenon is just imagery. There is not a self. There's no you in every image. It's just imagery, like you see in the movie, one of the 24 frame. So when you realize in memory, there's no you. Only when you link them up, it appears as if there is a you. So you don't touch them. So these phenomena, you receive them, you aware them, but you don't touch them. You don't need to engage with them. You just need to aware. It is a way. The method is to aware of them. You don't want to engage. You don't get entangled. You don't get further cogitation. You don't become fear based on what you saw. You saw what you saw. That's it. You don't look at a chicken and you're in the beginning to hear just that they have the smell of roast chicken. So in the Buddha nature, everything you see there is so-called no image. It's called no phenomenon. You see it and you see it almost like you pick up the message as is, and you don't have an imagery and phenomenon associated with it. So in that sense, when you say something, you are almost like using a language of universe. You see everything as a universe, and you communicate and you see and act according to causes and conditions. It's the language of the entire cosmos.
So if you can do it like this, your mind would be pure. Your speech, thinking, action would be clear. And, we have this body as a karma, and we have this environment that we are in as a karma as well. But in mind, these two cannot be separated. And if you are a enlightened being, it's like, emptiness, vast emptiness. And in there, you allow the actress to act on the stage, and they never leave the stage. So if you use example of the ocean, everyone, Paul, Robert, Mary, their waves, these infinite images or marks, they are all ocean water. But if you really have to separate them and you should capture or grasp those images of the ocean water, if you try to grasp, or when you stop grasping, you realize these images are all mind. So in the human realm, we are always in this state. And the great masters pointed this out, that we always trying to grasp images, grasp, the image of Paul or Mary. So like a few years ago, I saw some of our practitioners talking. And one said, my doctor recently found their job. And the other person replied, well, my son worked where, and how much he earned. When I saw that moment, I really wanted to tell them, hey, you guys are communicating illusions because of what? Because they use the image in their memory as something real. So I really wanted to tell them, oh, you guys are communicating illusions. So, if I see these two people outside of my mind as an object, I'm also communicating illusions. So whatever these two people in front of me or the dining table or in front, they're all in the mind. So this is like Shifu said, we investigate reversely. Who is observing? And when these grasping all stop, you realize, the image or self cannot be separated. So it's like when Shifu moving the books for 3 hours and he didn't realize he was moving the books. So it's like, walking while sleeping at the same time. Or another example is a 法师, when he was meditating and he suddenly heard a sound of coughing. And he realized this sound of coughing appeared in his mind and disappeared in mind. And then the sensation of breathing appears and disappears. So it's like everything appear and disappear in mind. So when he experienced this maybe 3 times during the 21-day retreat, and I just met him a few days ago, and he doesn't feel like this is, my body disappearing or whatever belong to self. So the Shifu said, the body function, letting go, but you can still function normally during the day. And here, like, we continue this integration of the methods of cultivation and realization. So we have body and function. So we say we are enlightened. And every moment, we use this non-duality, no arising, no perishing, Buddha nature. And we can say example, an old man who played chess with himself. this old man, on the internet, you can see on the internet, he plays chess with himself, and he plays, in the park. There's like a table, and he plays chess on that. And at the seat, he will move one chess, and he will move to another seat, and then respond another chess, and then go back to the first seat. So from beginning to end, just himself. But these two, changing seats, it's all him. So this is like why we say, you use the latter thought to capture the previous thought. So we use this, use incense, and you rotated this incense, and you feel like there's a circle, right? This is because our the way how our eyes function. So ultimately, from beginning to end, it's just you in this perfect unconditioned condition. So when the person feels like the body and mind disappears, but you still can function, it's a complete awakening or complete realization. But this first thought, second thought, it takes a long time to. But Shifu would say, it takes time. We have sudden awakening, but it takes time, because the force, within you cannot overcome the karmic force. So here we talk a lot of things, but it's just like fundamentally we are in this complete enlightenment. So like Tiantai said, a single thought of deluded mind contains Buddha mind. So the relationship between the Buddha mind and the deluded mind is like, if you have subject and object in your mind, it's a deluded mind. So if the deluded mind, it's a Buddha mind with two thoughts. You can also say the deluded mind is the function of the Buddha mind. In Huayan, right, there's a contemplation of unobstructed Dharma realm. Our mind has no obstructions, never ever. When we speak, and immediately we can have different functions, and we never lose it. So it's like at every moment you have endless options. You can speak now, you can go to bathroom right after, and you can take a nap. And when I speak now is phenomenon, but it does not obstruct. It does not obstruct the functions of other mind, functions of your mind. You can, it's like you can form this, this shape, but the moment you shape it is also empty, right? And so the Dharma realm of mutually unobstructed phenomenon, no abiding to scriptures and not turning away from scriptures. So here may be a little bit disconnected, but it's okay. I think originally, let me see. This should be, Tian Tai should be not abiding to scriptures and not turning away from scriptures. So Tian Tai, practice coming in contemplation together. And Huayan, it's contemplation of unobstructed Dharma realm, but all phenomena flows from Dharma realm, and every phenomena is all Dharma realms. That belongs to Huayan. So I think time is close. Maybe we can answer some questions right now. Okay, now we let Fa Shi rest a little bit, and we have a little bit time to use the bathroom or drinking water. Thank you, Amitabha.
Okay, Faster is back. And if you have a question, you can use the raise your hand function in Zoom, or you can use the chat message box in the Zoom screen, which we have opened the chat message bar, and we'll take a turn, and then we will read them to Fa Se. Or you can write in that little piece of paper, and then we have volunteer who will come by and pick up the piece of paper from you. The question is from Ning Yin Wang. The question is, many patriots all are so well versed in sutra. Does it mean that we all have to know the sutra well before we go into the practice of Chan? Fa Se answer is theory and practice. So the answer is you need to all know the understand and appreciate the theory of it, and then you also at the same time need to practice. If you don't practice and just know the theory, is useless. But if you only know the theory and you don't practice, or you just practice without the theory, that means one way is you keep running but without a map. The other way is you have a map but you don't run. Sometimes the theory you don't understand. It's like a map. You can study, you can contemplate, you can ask your master, you can study more research about it. So it's almost like looking at a map before you go visit a city. You study the map as best as you can, and then you go take the journey, because only when you take the journey, you can appreciate the map. But the map might be completely right, or the map have a message that you can only appreciate from your practice. So the answer is the study, the research of the sutra and the practice all both have to be at the same time. So it is not a prerequisite before you practice. You have to do it together. Theory and practice, you move forward together. Only when you through practice you can appreciate and experience when you experience the journey. That way you can appreciate what the sutra been teaching or recording, the theory of Chan. Therefore, if you don't have the theory, you may be pointlessly conducting a journey in your practice. So therefore, it is important you have the balance of both at the same time. So your practice is actually, in a way, it verify the teaching in the sutra. So that's the advantage of practice. The next question is from Xu. The question is, Master Sun Yan have 6 years of solitude. It seems to have far much impact than his PhD studying, 6 years PhD studying in Japan. So to a modern people like us, we don't have the luxury of 6 years of solitude. Is that a disadvantage in our Chan practice? Master Sun Yan before he gone through, before he began his 6 years of solitude, he already have a good practice or experience of sitting, Chan sitting. So he worked diligently in the Chan sitting, in the practice of sitting, the practice of awareness, the practice of no thinking. So all those is a foundation that accompany him during his 6 years of solitude. Vassar, I mean, when he went to Japan for the PhD, it helped him a lot when he go get his PhD. That is after the 6 years of solitude, because at that time it's more theory, studying of theory, research, and reading of older sutra. And his chance sitting of six years solitude helped him in receiving our other sentient, or in communicating or working with all other sentient in Japan. And it's part of his part of, in a way, it enriches his experience in Japan. So the studying, the study happened after the 6 years. So many people talk about they have to have long period of solitude. So I saw very often a lot of people quickly, when they learn chant, they go into 1 month, 6 months, 1 year of salutation. But then it turns out that it's all wrong, because the person doesn't have enough foundation in understanding the concept and the theory taught in the sutra. So the modern people, the sitting is a way of closing off the the 5 skandhas. You're not being affected or bothered with. It needs to be supplemented by education, by sutras. It is only a special situation, a special environment that enable one to experience without interruption. But the interruption is different. When you left your Chan hall, when you go and see the world, there's a totally different world, because the world is full of impact into your 5 skandhas. So you need sutra to assist you. You need the theory. You need the knowledge. You need the studying of sutra to help you. So it's related to the last question. You need the practice of sitting, and the sutra. You need the left and right, both to. So you need both to progress. Many big great patriots doesn't go through the 6 years of solitude. Some just know it immediately. So the possibility is endless. Is not always just only one way that you get your realizations. So through sitting and studying sutra, hopefully you get to see where the ignorance comes from. The next question is Mr. Kuo. Okay, this next question from Mr. Kuo. Master Kuo Pusa, are you there? Okay, we have another question from the chat. And we'll wait when the Pusa came back. Oh, Guo Pusa say she cannot unmute. The question is about your body, your daily experience, your heart and what you and your body. Your body is not feeling very well. What do I do? Faster say. Sometimes it is a karma, causes and condition. Karma is maybe from what you did before this life or previous life. Causes and condition maybe because of your lifestyle. There's always a causes and condition that leads to your current condition of your health. And your body is a tool. When you need to so-called tune your body and your feeling. We very often treat our body as self, and you give too much focus to this body, and when you always focus, put your energy in this body, and you forgot to manage your health of your let's say your psychic, your psychology of how you look at life.
So it's like in Shurangama Sutra, there's 25 different complete realization. And within one, there's an arhat who's like in pain a lot. And there's two awareness. There's one is aware in the pain, and the other is aware of everything. So he investigate. And then when the mind, encompass everything, it transcends pain. And there is no pain of Buddha nature. So he enlightened. So, you can practice with this discomfort of your body. Whatever disease you have, you just have it. And so you change your attitude, you accept it and practice Amitabha. Now, Guo Zhenning, please speak. Thank you. Fa Shi, I have two questions. The first, Fa Shi talk about you see the form and the mind arises. So Is it like first thought is the form, and the second mind arises? Is it that sentient being function? And then non-attachment arising of mind is everywhere, because it's one mind, it arises and perish at one moment. Every thought is like that. So it's mind everywhere. Do I understand it correctly? So mind arises while you see images of form. It's basically a operation method. And what you just said is more about the theory or teaching. So in Platform Sutra, we talk about no attachment, which is no second thought when we encounter phenomena. So no subject object. When you have subject object, there is consciousness, and cannot discontinue. When you see a phenomena, you let go this link, you disconnect it. It would be easier if you practice meditation, right? So it's like when you see something, or you want to see something, you pull yourself back to the focal point that you're meditating on, or the method. So it's a practical method. So when we have practical method, we also have teachings or theories. So if you know the first thought phenomenon you experience or see, it's in your mind. And the second thought, you don't know the first thought, or it disappears, so use the second thought to respond. That's the teaching, right? But also, usually you think, you feel the first thought is outside of you. You feel like the phenomenon is real. Or even not phenomenon, just say your thought about, Peter, Mary, or whoever. It's not you, but you need to be very clear. These are deluded thoughts. And the principle is the second thought does not follow the first thought. So you need to know everything is you, but everything is not you. In the teaching, there's no me, there's no him, she. It's all the ocean, all the waves on the ocean. It's not an object, it's not self. But if you see it as self, there's an image of self, image of others. There's no such things. There's no self, see or think. So here it's like, it does not arise your thoughts or mind by seeing images or phenomena. So there's only one thought. How you operate? When you operate, you need to face, your karma, right? So there is no self, but there's a lot. So we need to have the ability to cease, or samadhi, right? So here it goes down to if you meditate or not. Is that okay? Yes, Fa Shi, you already answered my half of my second questions. So when I see a person, in real, Fa Shi usually say it's not really a person, but actually it's just a thought. it's very fast moving and moving. It's a lot of thoughts. But when my mind is not settled, it's just a combination of thoughts, first thought, second thought, third thought. They link with each other as if there's a real person. Is the situation like this? Yes, because you always think it is a person, it's like dream. You have a dream at night, right? Just keep running, just keep playing. You can't control it. So just remember, the real person does not perish and can interact with you. And when you recall, this images won't ever interact with you. So it's not real. A real person has two, fundamentals. First is it can interact with you, right? So, you can say for sure that's not a person because it cannot interact with you. However, it runs very fast, so you need to have the ability to be in samadhi or to quiet down, calm down, success. And you have the ability, your mind wouldn't be like monkeys or wild horses, so difficult to control. Or sometimes when this force is very, very strong, we can also, within this crazy storm or wildfires, but we still want to come within that condition. And we can be in the situation, don't follow, don't suppress. And, in your mind is self, right? Just relax, anywhere you pull to, you relax at that place. So don't follow, don't suppress. Is that okay? Yes. Yes. Because all the thoughts, it's like interacting with your own thoughts, come and go. So it's like what we say, the whole universe is walking after you because every thought is in mind. And every thought is like this. So actually, the whole time and space is like this. But this needs to be experienced. But I think explanation is like this. In teaching, right? Every moment, even you go to the space, you see, infinite stars, planets. It's all in your mind. Doesn't matter what thought, what image appears, it's all in you, in the mind, and it is you, right? And this is just the wave in your mind, and you need to practice. You can be the owner, so you don't just float in between them. Thank you, Fa Shi, Amitabha. Because of time, we leave the last question to Eric Chen. If you have other questions, you can leave that to next week to ask Fa Shi. Now, Eric Chen, please speak. 阿弥陀佛，国兴法师。I would like to verify experience with 法师. One time when I meditate at home, and there is something fall to the ground on the floor, and I was scared. And the moment I experienced, that sound seems to coming in the body, from the body. And I recall that experience. It doesn't seem to coming in the body. I just hear a sound. There's no directionality. That's my thought. And I want to ask Fa Shi, this experience, is this within our body? Mind in the body? It's not in the body. Is that correct? Right. So no, it's not in the body. So according to Shurangama Sutra, this world, this body, it's not just a body. All are in the mind. Many people think mind is in the body. It's because we see, right? We listen. We use ears to listen. We use the 5 sensuous organs. And all these you see when this, image signal passing through your eyes nerve into your brain, and you for sure you are inside this position to see, as if you are like a manager, and there's different departments sending you documents, right? There's a document of form, document of sound, document of smell, and you are the manager sitting. It's 6 windows, as if you are in this room, seeing things outside through like cameras or whatever, and you feel like your mind is inside the body. But today, if you will realize your mind is beyond the typical experience. For example, you can see very far, you can listen very intricate sounds, all these functions directly through mind. But usually when we, listen to Omni, hear, and you don't feel a directionality, usually it's that your body disappears. So if you sit very often, your body disappears. It's a constant experience, then you won't be pulled out of it. For example, when we sleep at night, our body disappears, right? Because this body is through, our eyes, our ears, smell. But when you sleep, you don't listen, you don't see, you don't smell. So your body disappears, right? So our body is, manifested through the sensuous organs, but we don't understand. So, your body, your deluded thoughts, they are all in Buddha nature. In Shurangama Sutra, the river, the great mountains are all in the mind, right? In Shurangama, is the nature of seeing never lose or never disappears. Okay. Thank you, Fashi Amitofo. Then today's lecture and Q&A ends here. And everyone, I believe everyone is feel like me. I feel like I'm dining. I had a great meal. I need a lot of time to digest. Similar to previous lectures, we will put this recording online so we can review them if we liked. Now we return the merit. So please join palm and bow. Bow to Master Sheng Yan. Bow to Fa Shi. Amitofo. Just a reminder, next week is the last lecture of this lecture series. Please don't miss it. So I'll see you next Sunday at 3 p.m.